Behind home plate, we bringing it to them all day. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Win or lose, we bringing it to you always. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland.
Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336. I am your endearingly host, Matt Soroka. And as always, I'm joined by the Cyclops, button lover Josh Soroka.
We're not doing the video today. I thought this was going to be a fun episode. I thought this was going to be great about how much fun this team is, how we all love the Orioles and all this. I did not.
You're rocking the glasses.
Yeah, I got the cool Cyclops glasses to celebrate like the Orioles dressing up on Friday night. I got the new shirts out on Birdland Sports.
Another sellout.
Then like a boyland, another sellout, and here we are on an off day. 70 wins. We're supposed to be having fun, and today's been
Josh, this week we swept the Mets. Before that, we took 3 out of 4 from the Blue Jays. We're the hottest team in baseball. Won 6 out of 7 games this week.
Yeah, I think it's Bleacher Report who has us number 1 in the power ranking. Because don't forget, we still are fresh off of July where we won 17 out of 17-9 we went.
Not too shabby.
No, not shabby at all. Of course, we have to talk about what's been blowing up, not only on our Twitter feeds, but onto national TV. Every national reporter's on it. And it's funny because it comes right off the heels of last week talking about an ESPN broadcast and talking about how the Orioles are finally getting to be seen a little bit in good light on the national stage.
Yeah, and I think John Angelos must have saw that and said, not on my watch, Birdland.
Right. All right, so the story goes that there was a during the Rays series, there was a stat on the screen to show basically that we won more games against the Rays this year than we did the previous 2 years combined. Apparently,
a graphic created by someone at Mass.
Right. Apparently, this graphic was supposed to just be put on the screen, and Kevin Brown was told not to talk about it. But he just read the graphic like any other reporter does, because you don't want dead air just on the TV. Like, here's the quick graphic. Like, I guess they felt like they had to show it, but they didn't want to show it because they knew it was setting someone up to fail. So they were like, almost like the producer was saying, "Hey, we're going to show this real fast. Just be quiet, or Johnny's going to get upset."
But I think we're all scratching our heads because it's saying we're winning now. That's right. The whole thing was we had it in the past. Now we're winning.
Right. So the story started today with saying, Kevin Brown's been suspended for this. Right. And I even said, hey, here's the article, but this is some dubious reporting. It's off of a podcast, a Baltimore podcast, a blogger that I've never heard of. It's from a Reddit thread.
Yes.
And I know
it sounds so far-fetched.
But and it sounds far-fetched, and it sounds like, oh yeah, this is something the Onion could write about because it makes sense for the Angelos family.
Right.
But then everyone starts picking up steam on it. Britt Girardi, who has some experience working for the Orioles, came out and wrote about it and wrote about how the Orioles made a policy that that on-air talent must wear Orioles gear and merchandise, and that didn't go over well. And somehow, because of that, Kevin Brown got stuck on the radio for a series and then got suspended. And I was trying to remember, and all I could think about was, I know when there was when was the Adley Rushman bobblehead? That was just a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was recently.
All right, because I remember watching that game, and all the guys, everyone had on like Captain America, Marvel, like they all wore like their superhero stuff. And I remember seeing that and being like, that's weird that they're not wearing Orioles stuff, that they're wearing superhero stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
But everyone was doing that. It's not like one person chose not to.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it started there, but then the Orioles came out and really didn't said, "Oh no, just Kevin will be back soon," and wouldn't deny or anything. The story just said Kevin will be back soon.
Right.
So then, and this all happened throughout the day. I kind of all blew up around dinner time or something, where it was like it all fired up and
I think it was like 4:00 when I first saw it, and we started texting about it, and there was again some incredulity at first, but everyone was running with it.
I quickly made a free Kevin Brown shirt, but I'm like, this by the time this shirt gets printed and out, it'll be over. So it's not really a shirt story. So I made a graphic and put it up on Twitter. So people ran with that graphic, which was a lot of fun to see. A lot of people carrying that. Very interesting to see what people would come out and trash the Orioles and who would defend the Orioles.
Yeah, well, I think 99% are either trashing the Orioles, and then there's also a quiet percentage of people too, Josh, who have not made any comments.
There's certain ones that are quiet. I think I laughed because it was around 7:00 where Ben McDonald tweeted something about hunting, and I was like, oh, he tweeted this, and he hasn't even been on Twitter today. He doesn't know what's going on because he should not be posting anything right now.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I know, and I mean, and you want to. I don't know who to expect stuff from. But the first, who was the first like legit reporter you saw talk about it?
Oh, legit.
Mine was when I saw Britt Giroli.
I think Britt Giroli, and I saw the Baltimore Banner run with it.
Yeah, the Baltimore Banner. I think even before Britt did.
I think that's when I was like, all right, there's something here to it. Because it was more than just a podcaster. Then Buster Olney got in on it, which is fair to do because he hates the Angelos family.
Oh yeah. Like that's you pounce on this one.
Yeah, I sent you a screenshot because he responded to my I think the same thing as Buster Olney on the Orioles.
Yeah.
His comment made no sense to me. I don't understand what he's talking about.
I think his comment was, and this we talked about before, is Buster and Oriole fans were on the same page about ownership,
which is very rare.
We just don't like outsiders coming in and criticizing our ownership.
Yes.
And also like his refusal to acknowledge when other teams did it feels like he's picking on the Orioles when other teams have done just what the Orioles have done.
Correct.
But are praised for it.
But
yeah.
But this is a legit story.
Yeah.
And
Though Britt, it was funny. Britt Giroli tweeted out about it, and then she quote tweeted herself saying, "What did she say?" Just to get it right, she said, "Here's the quote tweet: Was told no one used the word suspended officially, but Brown has not been on TV since. So no one used the official word suspended.
No,
it's just he's not allowed to appear on TV or radio.
I believe it was Awful Announcing had it first, but I don't trust them as a reliable reporters.
Yeah, it was someone tweeted out, and then
and then they updated their thing to say the Orioles did not use the term suspended, but says he will be back soon.
Yeah.
So again, they're all protecting themselves from the lawyer John Angelos.
Right.
It's kind of a big deal. Like in the end, it's not.
Is it a big deal? It's just an announcer.
It's more of the same from where we thought John Angelos would be better than Peter.
Yeah,
I tweeted earlier today, I can't believe I'm now Team Lou. Because we've had many conversations during this transition about how John Angelos might be what's best for the team, and John Angelos is separate than Peter, and he's got the music thing going on, but John might be an okay owner. We want an owner that stays.
It's good that he's into the music because keep his little paws off the team.
Right.
But now his paws are back on the team.
Now the team's winning. And I even said last week, like, hey, it's kind of cool to see John back at games. He was at games last week. He was at games again this weekend.
He won't come back anymore.
No, he's now done. He's now done.
Why would you do this to yourself if you're Don Angelos?
Like, it's so stupid. Like, I don't. Here, all I can say is the only way John Angelos can fix this right now is John Angelos needs to go on his own Twitter and say, hey, this was a mistake. It was just a miscommunication. We support Kevin Brown, and he'll be back right away. The only thing you can do, because it feels an awful lot like his dad and John Miller, where his dad fired John Miller because he wasn't a big enough homer for the team. And John Miller is one of the greatest broadcasters in baseball that we could have had for ourselves.
It's hilarious, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, exactly. It's the same thing. You're talking about making the same mistakes as your dad.
Yeah. And in terms of just talent of a broadcaster, I mean, one could argue that since John Miller, we haven't had, I mean, I love Joe Angel, but since John Miller, maybe we haven't had as talented of a radio, certainly a TV guy as Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown's super talented.
Yeah, and I love Jim Palmer, but Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald together is like the perfect duo.
Yeah.
They play off each other great.
Yeah. And it's almost like, I don't know if it's a jealousy thing or I can't.
But
I just, I can't. There was, and then you think, well, maybe there's something else going on in the background, but like Kevin Brown's so professional. He does work for ESPN and all this stuff. Like,
but it makes no sense because he was saying your team is amazing. He's saying your team was really good. Like,
I feel like that's a comment that someone might make on any broadcast at any time, talking about the previous record against the team and the current record.
Well, one of Britt's comments that was weird that she had also in her article is that broadcasters have been reprimanded in the past for mentioning former Oriole players. It's so weird.
It's so weird.
I don't understand it. Like,
I know.
Like we're supposed to just forget about the bad times. Like, it's kind of like what we have talked about many times on 336 is the reason this season is so special. Like, anyone who has this season and like they're a young fan, they're spoiled. This season means so much more to you and I and the rest of Birdland that has been through this forever, who's been through all the losing seasons. And that thing that he read about us facing the Rays is evidence of that. It shows what makes this year so special.
Yeah. And then it was just like, it's funny, just like looking at Rob Long's Twitter and, you know, just how defensive he's getting about people saying, you know, what happens is when you do stuff like this, it makes you question everyone, right? It makes it undercuts the validity of Rakubako. Right. It undercuts the validity and the credibility rather of a guy like Rob Long and Brett Hollander, who are probably doing great work, but now you're thinking, oh, they're just shills for ownership.
Oh, I texted.
And by the way, you know who's more critical of Orioles than anyone else is Jim Palmer. I'm surprised. I guess Jim Palmer's Hall of Famer, so he's above all of it.
I texted you someone else today who's friend of the show, but I would expect to be critical, who works for a company that's supposed to be critical and dive in at this thing and attack ownership. And they're out there defending ownership and kind of being like, hey, 70 wins. It's all good. Can't wait to be at the stadium tomorrow.
Kevin Brown will be back. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here. And it's like, you work for an organization that constantly attacks the man, and you are going to back down because you've glad-handed these guys. It really does like make you look on Twitter and be like, all right, those are the people. I was texting a little bit with the guys with Bird's Eye View because we were like, hey, this is why they don't trust podcasts. Because we've been critical for 10 years of this team. We give this team a whole lot of credit, but we're also critical. And you are not allowed to do that if you work for the Orioles.
Yeah.
And this wasn't critical to begin with.
It wasn't even, and that's the thing. Like, if he went on there and said, like, I remember there was a thing with Ryan Wagner, too, who was the announcer for the Orioles.
He got fired for writing something on Twitter.
Yeah. Now, in that case, I think his tweets were negative, and they asked him to stop, and he still was tweeting negative things. Mm-hmm. All true things, but maybe a little bit negative. And he was there for the losing years. Yes. So there was some negative things to say about the team. But there's that incident, and then there's this incident. And again, I don't know how Jim Palmer has survived it because he's been really, really critical. And I don't know if it's like one day John is actually watching the game and sees it. Because I feel like, again, you could pull, if we went back and looked at all the videos, we could find Kevin Brown and Brett Hollander and Jeff Arnold saying things that are as equivalently like egregious as is to say they're harmless and not egregious at all, but similar things about the past record compared to the current record. Yes.
I think Jim Palmer has gotten a pass, and because he's been critical in the past, but you can't go after Jim Palmer, and I think they realize I think the Angelos family realizes that.
Yeah, Josh, the backlash. Though, and you mentioned a couple of people, a couple of shills, or that.
What's interesting is
not to hear, but there's been a huge backlash.
All the quiet haters
baseball.
that came out, and then there's been a gigantic backlash of the same people like you and I, who love the Orioles, who die orange, who defend the Orioles. Our last week's episode was even called like Mike Elias Apologists, I think it was.
Right.
Because we knew we'd come across that way. And yeah, this is a bad look for the Orioles.
And not even a lot of Oriole fandom and podcasts come out against it. I mean, there's announcers, just go on Twitter, announcers from across baseball
the
calling the Orioles out on this.
The Yankees announcer, the Mets game is on MLB Network tonight, and they called him out on it because they part of it is the Orioles history, and they attacked another announcer.
Well, it's an attack on their profession. It's an attack.
Every announcer is going to defend them.
Yeah.
It's like in the NFL right now where we see all the running backs coming together to defend each other. It's the same thing. It's just you can't attack it because they all know Kevin Brown's one of the best. Just like we lost John Miller, Kevin Brown next year will be at another team. Because if I'm Kevin Brown, I am not signing back for the Angelos family next year.
Well, and if John Angelos has his way, he might not want him back.
Right. In that case,
John Angelos doesn't care how talented you are.
Right. In that case,
you're not a homer. He doesn't want
John, I can be a homer.
Yeah.
Actually, just kidding. I cannot be. I cannot be.
No. I couldn't either.
But I know
so
a couple people lining up for the job.
It's so funny because, you had this talk about Peter Angelos and John Angelos, and then there was a fight with John and Lou. And then you just felt like there was so much good vibes around John Angelos.
Yes.
Despite the offseason stupid comments about opening the books and attacking Dan Connolly, despite that.
Despite the Nashville comments.
Yeah, despite the Nashville comments.
Yeah.
There's been such a good kind of vibe around ownership and this team.
Right.
Even despite the Angelos history.
I will be here as long as Fort McHenry is, as long as Fort McHenry is saying good things about me.
Yeah. Now, Josh, in this one move, I think now Peter, who's well hated among Birdland, unfairly so, if you ask me, but whatever, we talked about that before.
I agree.
I think there's equal hatred, if not more so now, for John.
And Peter. Yes. Since I started Birdland Sports, the haters have messaged me asking for when are you going to make us sell the team shirt? When are you going to make a John Angelos the clown with a clown nose shirt? And I've always pushed back. And then today I was like, you know what? I give in. Sell the team shirts coming out tomorrow. It's being worked on tonight.
Yeah, this is John Angelos clown worthy. Yeah,
this is John Angelos clown worthy. And I put up a poll. I'm like, hey, who do we hate more? Who do we put the clown nose on? Peter Angelos or John Angelos?
Oh, I'm sure it's overwhelmingly John.
It's overwhelmingly John. Now, part of that is the younger fan base, and it's fresh on our minds.
Yeah,
but it's also he did enough to overshadow his dad and the hatred of his dad that I don't know right now how Peter Angelos gets his fan base back without an apology to Kevin Brown.
Being an owner is so simple. Hire really smart people to run your baseball ops and then don't say a word or do anything else. Just fade into the background. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Just keep your hands off and don't do anything dumb. Don't say anything dumb. Don't do anything
money
dumb.
Over money.
And you're going to make so much money this year. The Orioles are making so much money this year. When they make the playoffs, they're going to make so much money. It's incredible.
I know there's all this hatred of that. Oh, Orioles attendance is down. Orioles average attendance is 23,000 per game. Last year it was 16,000.
You said that last week, Fox News. It's not down. It's up.
No. Yes, it's up, but down, like lower than it should be. Last year it was 16,000. This year it's 23,000. You are making so much money.
That's a huge jump.
You were putting out ads for hiring more employees as you make the playoff push because you had 2 back-to-back weekends with sellout crowds. You had full crowds.
I saw those ads. It made me wish I was 20, with 20 and single and no job responsibility.
Today's drama made me wish you and I were back in Maryland.
Yeah.
Because we hated on the Free the Birds movement years and years ago, but I think we'd be out there with the Free Kevin Brown movement tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean the frustrating thing though is the Orioles literally are playing the best ball
in baseball
out of anyone in baseball. This is like it's in August, and we are just crushing it. We're expanding our lead in first. We got a huge series coming against the Astros. And yet going to the game, we're going to be thinking about Kevin Brown and John Angelos. There's something wrong. This isn't like you had to make a choice and you happened to make the bad choice. You didn't have to do anything at all. And you just said, you know what? Fire him. Suspend him. Yeah. It's so weird.
And know someone said, are you sure, John? And he said, yes. It's so bizarre. It's self-sabotage.
And Kevin Brown, who's not a shill.
No.
Kevin Brown, who is a professional, I wonder how he responds to this.
I'll tell you how he responds.
Do you think he addresses it when he comes back?
No, he says nothing about it because he is a professional.
Yeah.
But October 7th or whatever, whenever his last broadcast is, he packs up and he moves on to another team next year.
Yeah.
Because there are 20 other teams that will hire him for next season.
And we're still with Brett Hollander making 5 mistakes every 2 innings when his calls. Bless his heart. He does his best.
Yes. I found it odd that for the 1983 thing that Brett Hollander was the guy on field doing it. Now it makes all the sense.
Yeah.
Because it should have been Kevin Brown.
It should have been Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown went down to a better job. Nothing against Brett Hollander. Brett Hollander's good. No, he's good. He's kind of like your McCann to your Rutschman.
Yeah,
he's an important piece.
Yep, I like Jeff Arnold.
Kevin Brown's star
there too. But yeah, Kevin Brown's the star as far as this announcing crew, and the Orioles are lucky to have him. And it's unfortunate that they won't have him after this year.
Yeah, I don't. There's something else happening. I don't know if it's, like I said, jealousy because Kevin Brown's so good at his job, or something petty that happened in an interview 5 years ago. Maybe Kevin found out that Kevin was Team Lou the whole time. I don't know. There's just something else that feels like it has to be there.
Is it that John? Do you think John went to these games, back-to-back weekends, sellout crowds, and said, "Oh crap, I can't move this team. There's too many fans. I need to find a way to sabotage this and push the fans away from me."
Yeah, it's very much feeling like self-harm here. What are you doing?
Whether it was
like you are calling out for attention.
This was self-harm. Call the suicide hotline because he just killed his team.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't have to be suicide, but it certainly is when my son's not getting enough attention, and so everything's fine, he starts acting up, and clearly, oh, okay, we've been ignoring you. You want some more attention, and even bad attention is any attention. So okay, we'll give you some attention now, Johnny. Okay, everyone's talking about you, Johnny. So we haven't forgotten about you. It's not just about the Orioles. It's now about John Angelos again. Happy John, we're talking about
Gunner's on his way to Rookie of the Year. When does John get jealous and bench Gunner?
Yeah,
send him down to AAA.
Yeah, it's so incredible.
It's so frustrating because there's so many good things to talk about with this team. But we have to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it's entertaining. It's like
it is.
Here's more Angelos drama. We have been missing some Angelos drama. We've had some great discussions about the Lou and John drama there, and so here's some more drama back.
That's what would make my day is if Lou came out and said something now on Twitter.
Yeah, we can somehow get Brady Anderson in the booth now, and
yeah, exactly.
Maybe Lou and Brady try to, I don't know, take over the booth and make a comeback. Though if I'm Lou Angelos, Lou's been very quiet too. If I'm Lou, I'm like, any misstep John makes, I would be all over it. But that's just me because I'm petty. But yeah, it's just I think like we started the conversation with, I think all of Birdland thought this. There was like a debate going on if this could actually be a real thing. And it turns out it kind of is a real thing. And it's just embarrassing. So, John, clean up. If we're going back to the old school strawberry of the week.
Oh, it's yeah.
This is a strawberry of the year
by
John Angelos here.
I don't think I have. I've got the temporary like about to move setup, so I don't think I have the strawberry of the week song. Let me see.
Yeah, well, that's he's our end of year award, and I'm giving an early end of year award to John Angelos for strawberry of the year over this Kevin Brown nonsense. How soon do you think Kevin Brown comes back after all this whiplash or all this backlash? I
bet the road series. I bet they have him out this weekend, and when we go to Seattle, he's back with Saturday.
There it is. This is John's song.
Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, I should have called Bert instead of gotten Bert involved in this. He would love some strawberry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty bad. He's no coconut.
Yeah. And now like I feel like also when I watch the game, now I'm going to be paying attention. Do they ever mention Chris Davis's contract? Do they ever mention Ubaldo Jimenez or Manny Machado? Like it makes me wonder.
Oh, I immediately thought Manny Machado. Have they talked about Manny Machado? And I'm like, Jackson Holliday's coming up. He's going to come up around the same age as Manny Machado.
He could jump up straight from Bowie like Manny did.
Gunnar Henderson is doing outstanding Rookie of the Year stuff like Manny did. I don't remember a mention of Manny Machado.
No, there is. And I've complained before on here about how I really like stadiums, just visiting stadiums now, that celebrate even recent history of the team. And it seems like now I don't know if this is, but see, I shouldn't even be asking these questions, but now I don't know, are they not talking about recent history with the team because they don't want to bring them up because it's topics for John or because it's not relevant in conversation? I don't know.
Yeah, but think about Masson. How many times have we talked about how Masson like never shows great Oriole games of pass?
Yeah, they keep on showing the same stupid games.
They got like 3 games that John approved that they show every rain delay.
Yeah, it's true now. And you wonder why. You wonder, this is just being lazy. No, this is intentional. Yeah.
Like they should be showing games round the clock and cool Oriole moments and Oriole broadcasts and all this cool stuff. They should be showing the Buckle Up Birds video at least once a week somewhere on Masson, and they don't show any of it.
Yeah, you see Manny highlights all the time. Yeah.
It's sad.
It's sad and weird. It's a sad and weird thing.
It is.
It is
weird. It is weird. I don't even know what to say about it. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's all not. Right. All right. Some people want to take this to Dan Snyder level. No matter all this craziness of Peter Angelos, it's still like not a day of craziness of Dan Snyder. So
there's no
semi-illegal,
there's no sexual assault happening in the background. There's no toxic work environment. Well, exactly. I guess maybe this is borderline toxic work environment. Maybe we can't say bad things about
toxic. Yes, this is toxic, but this isn't like letting fans sneak pictures of like cheerleaders dressing or whatever.
And using cheerleaders to lure men and do who knows. What else.
Right. I haven't heard anything like nothing's came out of him using the Oriole bird to attract people.
Yeah, it's less evil, more just incompetence on John's part. He's just an idiot.
Your team, you are at the point where your team name is on the top of everyone's tongue as they have to talk about it because the team's so good. And now every single national broadcaster tonight and tomorrow will be talking about your team because you're an idiot.
Yeah. Yep. It's so dumb. So dumb. All right, but let's talk about the players on the field. They're not dumb. They're great.
Don't you want to go to the game tomorrow, though? Don't you wish we were in Maryland to go to the game tomorrow for a little, like, a Kevin Brown chant?
I'm actually in DC right now, so I'm pretty close. But
I know. But you can't make it tomorrow night because of work.
No, I can't. Yeah.
Because I told Kelly, I said, man, if this was like a Thursday and Orioles off tonight and this all blowing up, I would be really considering flying home for a weekend series.
Yeah, for a Friday game.
The Friday game. I hope Birdland shows up with some good Kevin Brown chants. And even a sell the team chant, I'm okay with right now. It's crazy.
Yep. I agree but again, it goes back to that sad word because there should be chance of, Gunner Rookie of the Year chance.
Yeah, that should be Rookie of the Year every time Gunner makes a play.
Yeah, not sell a team chance.
Right. There should be a giant celebration that Flaherty can pitch through 6 innings.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some signs in the stadium tomorrow, and all the signs should be about Adley Rutschman and Santander, but I don't think that's what the majority of the signs will be about.
All right.
If the signs even get in the stadium now, that was my question: is how many of those signs do you think make it onto a Masson broadcast? Oh, 0. I think you have to go to Twitter. Or go to X.
Yeah, go to X.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even there, I think they might be confiscating some at the stadium.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised.
If we were there, 336 would be printing out these free Kevin Brown shirts, and we'd be there leading the charge.
Yeah.
Again, 100 people to go do this. I hope they make their presence known.
We'll be curious to watch. And outside of that, it's a big series. You got the Astros who are...
And it lines up as good as it can for us.
In what way?
We don't face Verlander.
I mean, Grayson always gets screwed. He always
Grayson gets screwed.
He faces Valdez, who one could argue is their best pitcher.
But if you got to go against Houston, it's not a bad 1, 2, 3. Besides Grayson gets screwed.
Yeah, he always does.
So,
yeah, and then we have Flaherty going, and then Kramer. Josh, can we talk about the game, or you still want to talk about Kevin Brown?
No, we can talk about baseball. Hey, you want a little stat about Kramer before we get to baseball?
Okay.
His great uncle invented the Power Rangers.
Yeah, I knew that.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
I just heard it on the Adam Jones podcast.
Oh.
Wait, that was just knowledge in your head?
Yeah.
Because you're such a Power Rangers fan?
No, I heard that somewhere. I don't know where I heard that.
Okay,
I just heard it somewhere.
All right, can we talk baseball?
Yeah.
Then we're halfway through our podcast, and it's all been free Kevin Brown.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with.
How about this? Let's start here. So in game 2 of the series, Jack Flaherty is pitching. Jack Flaherty looked pretty good in his debut here with the Orioles on Thursday against the Blue Jays. How about this for a stat line for a debut? 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. Did we trade for Jack Flaherty, or did we trade it for Justin Verlander? I'm not sure from that stat line.
No, it's out. Yeah, it's better stat line than Cease had in his last outing. It's great. Like we talked about the Flaherty move, and we talked about how Flaherty would be better with our defense behind him. And that is exactly what we wanted coming out of this. Like, that's the type of guy we wanted out of the trade deadline, and we got him. Yeah, so if he can build on that, that'd be unbelievable.
His velocity was up. He threw a strong harder. 8 strikeouts is impressive in those 6 innings. Toronto is a good team with a really good offense.
Right.
So he has another tough challenge because Houston's a good team with a good offense. But this could be kind of just what the doctor ordered, because I think one of the biggest question marks for me is if we can win this division, hold on to the division, is with all these innings limits being met and exceeded now,
right?
Can we do we have enough oomph to get across the finish line? And if Jack Flaherty can pitch, close to how he pitched in his first start,
that helps our bullpen every time he's up.
It's just a huge lift for this whole rotation and pitching staff and bullpen and everything. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Other notable stories that I want to touch on: Cedric Mullins, Keegan Aiken, Michael Givens, all doing their rehab. So not that even we need help is on the way. Josh.
Yep. Means still on pace for September.
Yeah. Who, if you were to throw out there Mullins, Means, we'll throw Aiken and Givens in there. Hall, I'll throw DL Hall in there too.
Yeah.
Who for you is the most important piece of all those guys that we get back, and that not just that he comes back, but that he's good when he comes back?
I think Mullins.
Yeah.
I think getting Mullins back is the most important as far as coming back at his own level. I think the most intriguing out of that list is DL Hall. Can he be what we expect for him out of the pen? Well, because I think we've kind of given up hope and frustrated with DL Hall. And I think, if he could come back like the DL Hall we all expect and be in the pen, that's pretty special as well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. And he just threw for this first time in Norfolk, threw 2 innings and was really effective. It does seem. Well, just first, real quick to the Cedric Mullins point, and I agree with you. I think we've seen a little bit the struggle of. I mean, Mateo's been playing center now. I don't know if your thoughts on Mateo.
Well, we remember you and I called for Mateo to play center field
back with Mullins' first injury.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see them do it. I like that Brandon Hyde's comment after the game was no balls were hit to Mateo, so it was okay.
Yeah.
I've been calling for Mateo to be sit down. I like that they're using Mateo less. It's very interesting, the conversation around Mateo now. I know you want to talk Mullins. Yeah. The conversation around Mateo is interesting because the question is, what is Mateo? Is your Mateo on your team to platoon at shortstop, or is he on your team to be a late inning speed? Late inning speed, he's the best guy for the option for that position. A platoon at short, he is not the best guy. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, and I would argue, Josh, there's the difference there in kind of what are we thinking about? And if this is the beginning of the season, this is April, I'm trying to get through the grind of a long season. Maybe a platoon at shortstop works. Maybe, so I can give Gunnar some more rest, whatever makes sense. If I'm thinking about playoffs, no one's the platoons are less important in the playoffs. Right. No, my best players play.
You want the speed off the bench.
Yeah, and I want that speed in my back pocket on the bench, and it's a bonus that I can put him literally anywhere on the diamond except for maybe first and catcher. That's a bonus.
Right.
And so I think Mullins. So I would say Mateo is not very important right now for us, but come playoffs, if you're gonna have a guy on the bench, I'd rather have him on the bench than even like a Colton Cowser. If Colton Cowser is not going to play, I'd rather have a Mateo on the bench just because
I agree
of what he can do.
As long as they use him this way, not as a platoon guy. Less playing time for Mateo, and I'm all for Mateo being on your team.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is how are you going to justify keeping Mateo on your team with these people getting back, Mullins and Hicks, to the end of the season, and Ortiz still playing well. And we haven't got to Holiday or Kerstedt.
No. And Cowser and Westberg are starting to make their presence known.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm willing to admit now, here and now, I was wrong about wanting the Orioles to sign Carlos Correa or Trey Turner or one of these shortstops. We are better off not having signed those guys.
Yes. We've got Rookie of the Year in there with Gunnar Henderson. And
one of the difference for me is Jordan Westberg's a lot better than I thought. Like having now watched him for a while and he just hits the ball so freaking hard all the time.
And he's fast.
He's so much faster than I thought. I don't know why I did not envision him as being fast.
No, I didn't know he was fast.
He's athletic defensively. He's a really good defender. And in my mind, before the season started, he was like Jordan Westberg, right-handed hitter, big wall on left, trade bait. He's trade bait. A plethora of infielders. Now I'm like, no, like Jordan Westberg is a key part of this team. And so, yeah, I mean, we clearly are better off. And let's not get carried away here, or get too far looking ahead because I'm enjoying the ride. But if you look at next off season, just real quick, there is no one we could sign offensively that would be an upgrade. Maybe backup catcher is the only position where we could upgrade offensively.
Yeah, but
as opposed to what we have in house.
A backup catcher, yeah.
Right. A backup catcher, because every position is going to be filled with studs we already have.
Right.
We should do nothing offensively.
Well, with free agency. Back to Mateo, there's no spot for Mateo on this team next year.
I don't see how there is. I really don't.
Because I really think that next season camp breaks with Holiday at short. I think camp breaks with Kerstedt in the outfield. It gets really interesting with this team. It's really exciting.
Josh, I don't know if it was yesterday. I think back-to-back games, Jackson Holiday has had a home run. Jackson Holiday is crushing it for Bowie, putting up. I mean, we thought the numbers at Aberdeen was insane, and apparently he was just getting started. He had like that weak illness, and then he came back, and he's been freaking on fire. He's now batting .396 with an OPS of 1.090. Do you think it's a realistic possibility for Holiday to be part of this playoff push and to be on the playoff roster for this team?
I think playoff roster is a push. I think September call-up, certainly possible. I don't see him as a playoff roster guy.
Okay.
I see him as a break camp next year guy, just like Kerstead. I see him and Kerstead as the guys getting the September call-ups. At least the guys I would give the September call-ups. I am expected to be disappointed and see some random guys get the September call-ups, like a Stowers and a Ortiz.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think it's gonna be. I mean, we'll see who's hurt and who's healthy, but it's going to be a pitcher in there too. One will be a pitcher, and the other will probably be a Ortiz or Kerstead.
Right. So I can't see Holiday making that push,
even though he just seems so advanced. I mean, he's almost gotten 400.
Right. Really. He's gonna be in Norfolk when Norfolk pushes for the AAA playoffs.
Yeah.
I think he'll be with Norfolk for that. But no,
But if Mike Elias said that didn't Mike Elias say something to think that it's like
he did.
It's not off the table?
He did, but he said the same thing about Adley Rutschman a few years ago.
Yeah, if we were in a playoff hunt, and we were never close to a playoff hunt.
Yes, but you're right. We are in a playoff hunt.
We're in a playoff hunt, and Jackson Holiday literally could not be playing any better. So I'm with you. I don't think it happens.
We are 96% chance odds of making the playoffs now.
Yeah, but we're pushing for a playoff. We're going to make the playoffs. We're pushing for winning the division, and Holiday literally cannot play any better. So if there was any scenario where Holiday would be caught up, it feels like this is the time. I don't think he will be caught up unless there's an injury to a middle infielder, because I don't know, but it's something to watch.
It is. It's something to watch. Hey, did you just thinking this? Did you place any bets preseason for the Orioles to win the World Series?
No, I didn't actually.
I do every single year.
Yeah,
and I didn't.
I know. Year. I usually do and didn't do this year.
I didn't get around to it, and now I'm kicking myself.
I recently swore off betting before the season started, so I didn't do it, but I did. Yeah, for the past like 3 or 4 years, I've done it.
Right, me too. So I'm just irritated.
Hey, I want to ask you real quick about the Mullins thing.
Yeah,
you think Mullins bats leadoff when he comes back, or does Adley Rutschman take hold of the leadoff spot?
I think you don't. I think you start. I think Cedric, you've dropped down in like 6-7. I hate to say that, but you need him to prove his way back up to leadoff, because I feel like we're handling leadoff differently now. We're not trying to get speed on the bases. We're taking a guy that can see a lot of pitches and just get on base and get momentum moving. Now, I say see a lot of pitches, and we saw him twice during the Mets series swing at the first pitch, which was very interesting.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because maybe the book's out on him that he's going to take the first pitch and respond to that.
Exactly. So, I like Adley up there. I loved Gunnar in the leadoff spot, so I don't really see Cedric back in that leadoff spot. I don't know if you do it as a little seniority thing, but I hate crap like that.
Yeah.
Where would you put him?
Yeah, I like Adley at leadoff, actually. I've kind of gotten used to that. So, but then you look at our lineup, it's so loaded. It's really hard to say.
Right, because if you don't put Cedric at leadoff, he's not in the top 5.
Yeah, no, you can't. And then even go 6 and 7. What, do I want him above or below, like a guy like Jordan Westburg?
It's almost like you want him in that 9 hole to flip it around again.
Yeah.
Which sounds disrespectful.
Yeah, no, your second setup guy, if you ever call him. Yeah. So no, I would see somewhere between the 7 to the 9 hole, which is weird because I think he's still a great ball player,
right,
and a great hitter. But yeah, I could see him somewhere in the 7 to 9 hole. I think our lineup is getting really stacked right now.
It's really special.
Yeah. Though the Mets series, it was a nice sweep.
It was a nice, easy, relaxing sweep.
Yeah, I felt like, should we even count these games?
It's like when we play the Nationals and kind of roll in like we know we're going to win these games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the time
I felt bad
watching
for
a
Buck.
team. I felt bad for Buck too. Orioles did a nice job with the tribute.
Yes. And I loved Buck's pregame comment about that Topgolf wasn't there. If that Topgolf was there when I was here, I would have been late to a lot of games.
No tribute video for DJ Stewart, which I thought was disrespectful friend of the show.
Well, sorry, but I also felt like every time we hit the ball to DJ Stewart, it was going to just bounce off him.
Yeah, you never seen a player in the outfield who makes catching a simple fly ball look harder than DJ Stewart. It's an adventure every time.
It's very weird.
Yeah, and he was like batting even cleanup one game for the Mets. But I feel bad for Buck. I root for the Mets because of Buck Showalter. And now he's taking a lot of heat, even though he was kind of talked about as one of the best managers in the game last year when they won, 101 games or something.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, people want him out of New York because somehow from last year to this year, he turned into a bad manager.
Right. You bring all these stars together and it doesn't work, and you blame the manager.
Yeah. I feel bad. And they would have kept on. Masson kept on. After every kind of stupid play the Mets would make, they would shoot right to Buck Showalter in the dugout.
And now it makes me wonder,
Buck Showalter.
Did John Angelos insist on that? But like, show everyone that I made the right decision to fire Buck Showalter.
Right.
So
almost embarrassing Buck by showing.
Buck's miserable.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know, but it was a good series win for the Orioles.
Yes. Orioles did a great job with the '83 tribute and bringing everyone back.
Oh yeah, I watched all that pregame stuff. That was very
good
cool.
Pregame show.
Me and South watched together. That was cool. That's what I'm talking about. Celebrate more history.
Yeah, definitely.
And they've been bringing Adam Jones back, right? It did the
Jones was back.
We talked about that. They
were doing everything right. Yeah, I liked Governor Splash, where the governor came back as Mr. Splash.
Yeah,
like they've been doing everything right this year, as far as PR.
Yeah,
except for Johnny.
Yeah. Also, are they going to sign that lease? Isn't that?
Well, yeah. So I saw one thing. What did John Angelos do this year? Well, he didn't sign the lease. He did this. He didn't extend Adley and Gunnar.
Yeah. What's that episode of The Office? It was the Pretzel Day episode where like Michael Scott just has to sign like 2 papers, and he keeps getting distracted and won't just sign the 2 papers. Like that's all your entire job. Michael Scott is just to sign these 2 papers, and Pam spends the entire episode just trying to get him to sign these 2 papers. I feel like someone's up there trying to get John to sign these lease papers, and John's over there firing Kevin or suspending Kevin and finding other stupid stuff to distract him that he won't sign the papers.
John needs to tomorrow sign the papers, extend Gunnar, and extend Adley to get this fan base back. All I can figure out
also, can I say too?
I'm not worried about him extending the. Before now, I was not worried about him signing the lease because it's pretty straightforward. I'm sure he's trying to negotiate more money because the Orioles are doing so well. It doesn't make sense because it's already been laid out for the Ravens. But I'm sure that he thinks somehow the Orioles playing well allows him more bargaining stuff or more control. That he wants, because he probably wants more control for his concerts or whatever. And I get that. That's no problem. I'm not worried about the Orioles leaving Baltimore. But, man, when you have a day like today, it just looks really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you – I don't know what goes on in the head of that man. So you say it's ridiculous, and everyone says moving to Nashville is never going to happen, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. But, like, I don't know what's going on in the head of John Angelos, someone who would suspend Kevin Brown, not suspend, but just not let Kevin Brown broadcast games for a period of time, whatever you call that. I don't know what goes through someone's head who would do that. So then I don't know how he responds to other situations because he doesn't think logically.
Do you think I hate that we've gone all the way circle back.
And now it also makes you think of when I was talking about Mike Elias, it makes you think of all those comments, the trade deadline, where Mike Elias says we have all the money to spend. Right. Like, that's not going to be an issue. We can make any trades.
Do I trust you?
Yeah. Was that real, or is that what John told you to say?
Right. I feel like today's move was so embarrassing that Rob Manfred has to step in and give Johnny a call.
John Angelo's phone today is off the hook with people calling him to tell him he's an idiot. This is not just a Twitter thing.
But
people
I feel
on
like
baseball, I think, are going to call John and say, "What are you doing here, Johnny?"
Right. I feel like Rob Manfred, though, as much as people hate him, he has to involve himself in this because it's making him look so bad.
Yeah, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. I'm sure I would not be surprised if Rob gave John a call and said, "Hey, what's the deal with this?"
Right. And do the Orioles address this at all, or do they just move on and ignore it?
Of course they move on and ignore it. They won't even call it a suspension.
True.
So they'll never say Kevin Brown was suspended. He wasn't. He just didn't call some games.
Yep.
In the middle of the season when he's your main broadcaster. He just went missing. Right. He went DL Hall on us. He just went missing, and now he's back.
Right. He went to the broadcast lab.
Yeah. They worked on some stuff, and now he's back.
Yeah, and now he'll be back. They beat him up for saying negative things, and now he's positive only.
Yeah, that's what you do in the broadcast lab. Orioles are great. Orioles are awesome.
See, I wish we were talking about the pitching lab and how great the Orioles have been doing with that. Instead, we're talking about the broadcast lab.
Yeah, that's where we are. Hey, quick Orioles news. Right-hander Jacob Webb has been claimed on waivers from the Angels. The Orioles had the Orioles to make room for him. They moved Austin Voth to the 60-day injured list. So we have a new reliever in the bullpen, Josh. Jacob Webb.
I saw that. I wasn't very familiar with Jacob Webb. Like, I didn't know who he was.
Veteran guy, 30 years old, bounced around the league a little bit. Decent ERA, high walk rate, good strikeout rate.
Is he a guy that we're just taking a chance on and he might be gone by Wednesday? Or
yeah, I mean, he seems to, in this long line of DFA relievers, we had a lot of success with Coulomb, but then you also throw in Baker. I think Perez was another guy. Just a group of kind of DFA relievers that you try to hit with. It's weird at this point in the season to still be adding a reliever to try to hit with. But I guess, again, we talked about before, we just need the arms to get through the season. So maybe this is another arm. But it's not like there's other options in the minors. You talked about Joey Crable, who's up here.
Right.
Talked about
Vespi goes Vespi. Up and down.
Yeah, so there's other options, but I guess Orioles don't love their options, other options. Even Brian Baker, right, is down there now at Norfolk.
True, correct.
Yeah.
But they also love a bargain. And there's definitely something going on with a GM where there's a little thing where you love to take someone from another team and like him be good.
Yeah, and Elias has such bullpen arms. And you wonder, like, maybe he's here for a week and then they try to sneak him into Norfolk, just like the Angels maybe were trying to do. So we'll see.
Yep. Hey, the broadcaster Mad Dog?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Mad Dog.
New York. He said, that idiot Angelos, who never won a damn thing. The idea that I got John Angelos, who has done absolutely diddly in his career as an owner, and this guy's going to demote Kevin Brown, that's a disgrace. And I don't think you can say it any simpler than that.
Yep. I don't really agree with Mad Dog most things, but that seems pretty spot on.
Just like I don't agree with Buster most things, but he's spot on.
We can all unite around our hatred of John Angelos right now.
Yep. All right. Any other Orioles news, or this is just going to be the free Kevin Brown, John Angelos episode? Next week, hopefully, we can talk about the Orioles and their 75 wins, or however many games we have until then.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough series that's coming up with the Astros. But
it is. It's a tough series.
Thankfully, the Orioles have built up a little bit of wiggle room in the standings.
Right, and then we have a tough road trip.
Yeah, but then we go out west.
The west
tough road trip.
Which is silly because, like, I feel like we said in June, June's going to be tough. We made it through it. July's going to be tough. So I feel like anytime I say the Orioles are going to have a tough stretch, I feel silly because they prove me wrong each time.
Yeah, well, and it's been interesting to watch post-trade deadline. We've seen any of this, but there's a bunch of teams who are 6-0 and 0-6. And like Arizona made all those trades 0-6. Angels made all those trades 0-6. And then some teams who did nothing are now 6-0. So it kind of is evidence that the trade deadline's a scam and doesn't really work for any teams to be good or to be better or worse.
Right.
So
That make a move to just make a move doesn't mean anything.
Right. Though again, I mean, just short window here. Orioles look like winners at the trade deadline in this kind of short glimpse here, but we'll see how the season plays out. But yeah, no, that's all I got. I think good show. I'm looking forward to. I think next week we'll have a Kevin Brown update and we'll talk about the Houston and Seattle series.
And by Kevin Brown update, we mean we'll say, "Oh, he's back." They haven't said anything. He didn't say anything. Life goes on,
and we'll talk about how weird that is. But like
exactly. So the team shirts will be up on Birdman Sports by Wednesday afternoon before the game, or Tuesday afternoon should be up.
All right, those free Kevin Brown shirts up already?
Yeah, they're already up. Yep, they've been selling all night.
All right. All right, boys and girls, thanks for listening. You can follow.
One day we'll get to personal stuff.
One day we'll get to personal stuff.
I got some housing issues. School starts this week. I got some stuff to get off my chest eventually. One day we'll get there.
All right, we'll get there. There's too much either good baseball or drama on this team.
I thought today was an off day. Maybe we'd get to a little of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Maybe next week. You can follow me on Twitter at Section336. You can follow Josh on Twitter
at Josh Soroka and at Birdman Sports.
Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's. And free Kevin Brown.